You are live, says my streaming software. So, good evening, everyone. I haven't been here for a couple of weeks. Small apologies on that. You know, sometimes people get burned out a little bit. Sometimes it's summer and nice weather. Sometimes other life stuff happens, and it is what it is, you know. I do what I can. So, how are you guys? I saw that at least one person was waiting before I started the stream. So good evening to you, good sir, or good madam. I should be live on Twitch and YouTube. Let me just double check on YouTube that I am really live, because the last couple of times I made a really silly mistake. Really silly mistake of not being public. It says live. Okay, should be good. Should be good. So here it's like really hot. The temperature is only 34 now outside, but it was 38. I guess it's coming down a little bit, but even 34 is a little bit too much. And my air conditioning is set to max, although it's a couple of rooms away from here, so I can barely feel it. Hopefully it will cool me down at least a little bit for this, because I don't really like wearing a t-shirt when it's this hot. Let me know if you are present in the chat, just so that I don't feel like I'm talking to myself. Although I think that's fine as well. We can pretend that this is a healthy thing to do, you know, talk to yourself. Okay. So I don't need to check my YouTube anymore. Viewer activity, stream settings, analytics, views, chat rate, concurrent views. This is a bit odd, to be honest. YouTube always has a weird interface, like showing me 0 people watching when I'm absolutely sure that someone is watching, you know. Miss Love just popped in to say hi. You know, you're probably not going to be surprised when I tell you this, Mislav, but I have not yet Zashrafio, you know, the motherboard, you know, which one. I just didn't. I didn't even reboot my computer since you have given it to me. It still has uptime since a couple of weeks or a month, or I don't even remember anymore. But I will get to it. You were actually being surprised. You told me something like, how do you have the willpower to disassemble a fully working PC just to change the motherboard? And yes, it's true. The computer is working perfectly, but you know, there is always some room for improvement, I suppose. For the first time in a long time, this live stream is going to start as scheduled at 7 o'clock Croatian time, which is in 5 minutes. So as you guys are collecting in here in the chat, let me know how is it going. Let me know if you are in the chat. Okay. Okay, I think Mislav left, uh, but he did say that he just popped in to say hi. That's good. In 5 minutes, I will start reading basically what I started the last time, and that's the stream which went to shit, and that was the bad weather stream. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okie dokie. We have 4 more minutes, so make the best out of that. Mislav, you're not here anymore, are you, right? I'm just checking. Okay. Okay, let's go. Well, I'm not gonna switch to my work screen just yet, but I would like to see a couple of more messages in chat. Maybe I can invite my matrix room here. Okay, I need my link once again. YouTube. Okay, let's go to my channel. View your channel. Okay, copy. Okay. I do feel more ready than than the past 2 times, so hopefully it will work out. I didn't really announce it to anyone that I'm ready, so whoever joins, welcome in, I guess. Let me close my matrix chat so that it doesn't bother me later on. And my other chat applications, quit this one. Okay, we have at least 1 more minute for the chit chat. Welcome in, whoever it is that is lurking at the moment. I did check my microphone meter before I started the stream, so that should be okay this time. Unlike the past 2 times when I had an issue with that. Test message on Twitch, that works as well. Okay. Okie dokie. Iceblade, hello, grabbing drink, etc. Welcome in. Okay, so we have like 30 seconds remaining to be sharp, so I'm gonna start reading. This is chapter 4, functions again, and I say again because this is what I started doing the last time, and that stream went to shit. So I'm just gonna repeat this because the way that turned out is pretty much a material for deleting that entire video on demand. So let's go ahead and do it once again and see how that works out. Good. So, very much like other languages you are used to, C has the concept of functions. Functions can accept a variety of arguments and return a value. One important thing though, the arguments and return value types are pre-declared because that's how C likes it. Let's take a look at a function. This is a function that takes an integer as an argument and returns an integer. Okay, so this is the regular include that we are going to use. And Golga Katani, welcome in. I can't join it. I will check it out tomorrow. Goodbye. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Int +1. Okay, so that's the variable. It says int n. Okay, that's the definition. Return n plus 1. Okay, we have a function. The int before the +1 indicates the return type. Okay, the int n over here indicates that this function takes one int argument stored in the parameter n. A parameter is a special I look in the direction of below camera when I'm reading the chat because Twitch has a weird feature that it reloads or blinks every minute or something like that. I'm not sure what's going on. And it's quite distracting and I'm not sure if I can fix it so it doesn't blink all the time. I always think that someone wrote something and there's nothing there. It just blinks. Show moderation actions, show messages, show messages, show messages. Screen reader auto announce, chill mode, start sharing chat, shield mode, subscribers only chat. We haven't had spam on Twitch for a while. Yeah, I don't see a feature to make it not blink. Alrighty. A parameter is a special type of local variable into which the arguments are copied. I'm going to drive home the point and I have notifications on my phone. So talking about distracting. I am watching your stream, says a message on the phone. Okay, I'm just gonna, I don't know, put my phone into airplane mode because I don't really want distractions, but hello to the person who is sending me messages on the phone. Okay. Once again, I'm going to drive home the point that the arguments are copied into the parameters here. Lots of things in C are easier to understand if you know that the parameter is a copy of the argument, not the argument itself. Okay, more on that in a minute. Continuing the program down into the main. We can see the call to the function where we assign the return value into a local variable J. So this is a good moment to practice some typing. This is a mistake. Lazy Dev just subscribed. Thanks a lot. Judging by your name, I suspect you are on the stream right now and not a random sub from the random video on demand on my channel. So welcome in. Okay, let's go with a. We had some functions from the last time. Functia. Let's go with nano function.c. Okay. The size of the screen on the right should be big enough for you to read. If it's not, let me know. I'm going to increase the character dimensions. Okay, let's go with include stdio. Okay, int plus. Okay, I really need to see my keyboard somehow because I'm still not that good at touch typing. 1 int n goes here. The definition return n plus 1. How is it going, guys, in chat? Anyways, int main. Okay, void here. Actually, I want to change the style here. Let's go with this one. This should be okay. Okay, int I equals 10 plus, no, okay, that's just comma j. Missed Golga, yeah, things happen. J equals plus 1 of I. Okay, so that's the call here. As you noticed, you're making the manual addition. You're making the manual addition function. I have no clue what that means, but I guess I am. Okay, print f I plus 1 is percentage decimal new line closed quotes, and the decimal comes from the j variable here. Let's close it and finish this one. Okay, so in here, let me see if I can close this part over here so it's a little bit bigger. So it's a little bit bigger. Before I forget, notice that I defined the function before I used it. If I hadn't done that, the compiler wouldn't know about it when it compiles main, and it would have given unknown function call error. There is a more proper way to do the above code with function prototypes, but we'll talk about it later. Also, notice that main is a function. It returns an integer. Are you talking about addition? Like when you do this number plus another number? What is this void thing? This is a keyword that is used to indicate that the function accepts no arguments. Yeah, that's what I try to spell when you add number plus number. The first time you spelled it was almost perfect, but I didn't understand what you meant by that because it's kind of obvious that I'm doing addition here. I thought you were talking about something else. Anyways, you can also return a void to indicate that you don't return a value. Okay, good on that. Okay, so let's just compile this one. Nexus place says void. Did I make a mistake? You said void asterisk, which okay, it's a joke then. I'm always looking where I made a mistake, so good. GCC all extra function I plus 1 is 11. Okay. Pedantic. Pedantic will enforce the strict rules of the version of C. So with GCC 15, the default is C 23. So yeah, I suppose we can do that as well. It didn't seem like truly necessary, but the more the merrier, they say. Let's go ahead and open it one more time and maybe make it slightly bigger so it's easier on the eyes. Okay, I'm trying to not reach into the chat with the size of this. Okie dokie. Anyways, one more time. Plus 1 integer n, return n plus 1. And then we're doing integer I equals 10. Actually, this confused me the last time, so I'm gonna change it up a little bit. This is integer I is 10 and also integer j, right? Okay, so I here is 10 and we also not defined, but what is the word when you give birth to the to a new value? It's not, is it defined? I struggle with words. Anyways, let's say it's defined. J is plus 1, so so that's n plus 1. Yeah, it's 10 plus 1, it's 11. There isn't much to that. We can check it again after I made this little change, but nothing here should have changed. Basically the same thing. Yeah, but you know, the last time when we did the same thing, initialize. Yeah, initialize. Good word. Thank you. It's great and define for giving. Okay. The reason why I have split this into two rows is because the last time it got me confused. So this time let's say I learned it. I learned the how you can define or initialize and define. Okay, so this one here is initialized and defined in one go, and this one is only initialized. I think that's a proper way to say that. And the way it was initially written, basically, where was it? Here, right? So this got me confused the first time. So when you are literally a beginner, it's pretty easy to understand that here you are initializing the variable as integer and assigning it a value of 10, and we are done with I. And then here we are just initializing the j variable also as integer without assigning an initial value to this one. But the way it was initially created was a little bit confusing for the new guy, because we had integer I equals 10, and that would be the end of it, but then it said comma j, which felt to me as a beginner like we're doing some kind of a weird array here, but it's not actually. It's just that after the comma, the syntax is such that basically we are defining j also as integer. And Iceblade says, yeah, it even tripped me up for the first 30 seconds the last time. Yeah, I think it's really good to understand what's going on, because this book is really good. It actually explains quite a lot. But I said, if I, as a beginner, tripped on this the last time, I think it's really good to, do it like this. If anyone else of my own baseline of programming knowledge stumbles upon this stream and, you know, also believes that this could be an array, or what the hell is this, right? Beej, BG, yeah, it's Bay, yeah, Bay. Good, good. We can leave it at this, I suppose. Let's have a drink. Okie dokie. You can also return void to indicate that you don't return a value. Okay, void returned. And the rest is history, I suppose. Nothing is really going on here. We were just literally returning nothing. Okay, passing by value here. Actually, I have a new medicine for my throat here. It's regular honey. It's just honey. No big deal. all I need for my throat is to not dry up, if that makes sense. Once it dries up, it starts to hurt, right? It's not nothing. There's nothing special about it, right? So it is what it is. Water doesn't help it because it only helps for a couple of seconds. The olive oil is, I mean, oil is always a good lubricant, right? It's just that olive oil, it's a little bit hard to drink. Honey is a lot easier to drink. Let's see how long it holds up. I only just took a little bit, so I don't get too much of the sweetness, but it tastes better than the olive oil. To be fair, I like olive oil in my food. It's just that, you know, when you drink it, not that much. I'd mentioned, I'd mentioned, I'd, I would have mentioned earlier that when you pass an argument to a function, a copy of that argument gets made and stored in the corresponding parameter. One more time. I had mentioned earlier. Yeah, this construction here is not very telling. It can be a lot of things. Okay, so in this case, it's I had. Okay, a copy of that argument gets made and stored in the corresponding parameter. If the argument is a variable, a copy of the value of that variable gets made and stored in the parameter. Icebird says odd I'd is I did. I don't think it's I did. I think it's in this case here, the only full word that makes sense to me is I had mentioned earlier. But actually, let me pass. I want to know. I want to know. Let's give it a try here. Let's use Google AI. The first contraction in your sentence is I'd. What it is and why is it so? Definition. It is a shortened. Let me make it bigger. It is a shortened combination of the pronoun I and the auxiliary verb had. See, it's had. This context here, it stands for I had to form the past perfect tense. I had mentioned. Grammar reason. You used it because you were referring to an action, mentioning something that happened before another point in the past. I'd is strictly a contraction for I had or I would. Now, this I didn't know. The only reason I got it right is because I pulled it out of context. Context. It's the only thing that made sense, but frankly, it seemed like it could be a lot of things. Uh, okay. Okay, we're done with English. The author is correct here. No grammar mistakes have been made. It seems like it's a grammar weirdness, but English is weird. Where were we? If the argument is a variable, a copy of the value of that variable gets made and stored in the parameter. More generally, the entire argument expression is evaluated and its value determined. That value is copied to the parameter. In any case, the value in the parameter is its own thing. It is independent of whatever values or variables you used as arguments when you made the function call. So let's look at an example here. Study it and see if you can determine the output before running it. Okay, let's type it and not run it. Nano pass value dot c. Okay, you cannot see the source because it's tiny, but you should be able to see what I'm typing, so that's enough. Include stdio. Why is it not painted? Because L is missing. Okay, good for the for color coding. Void increment int a plus plus int main void int I equals 10 again, increment I, printf, mistakes have been made, increment int main void int I equals 10. I don't see a mistake. Okay. Thank you, Iceblade. Printf I decimal. What is the new line? Closing the quotes, comma I. What does this print is the question. Good. Oh, you don't? Okay. Oh, you don't? Okay. I don't know what that means. Okay. Void increment int a. How does this contraption work, really? To the mentioned mistake when you said it, well, I didn't see it when I said I didn't see it. That was true at the moment of speaking the words. Okay, I'm gonna be honest here, as I always am. Void, true, I guess. Void increment int a. What is actually going on here in this function here? This is like a function that increments a and returns nothing. I don't get it. This entire function here looks like doing nothing. I can't feel it. What is this supposed to be doing? Anyways, let's go to the next one. Int main void. So this one doesn't take a parameter. This one takes a parameter which isn't defined anywhere. This one takes a parameter and returns nothing. And this one returns an integer but doesn't take a parameter. Correct A was provided and we changed it without return. So int main void I equals 10 increment I, but this won't work. On the surface, it looks like I is 10, and then we are incrementing it, and possibly we could get manipulated into thinking we have incremented 10 in this case. Are you sure? It says use the increment. Actually, it could work. Yes, it could work. Yeah, we are passing number 10 into the increment function because increment function does take a parameter. Yes, okay. I got it upside down in the beginning. I thought it was vice. Anyways, yeah, it is incrementing. Okay, printf I equals 11. Do we agree that I equals 11? Later pointers would solve this problem, but it's for, yeah, okay. So it is 11, right? I equals 11. GCC. What was the one that Nexus Plays said? Pedantic. Okay. I'm just thinking if I should override. Let's just use C. Why didn't you tell me I was missing export? Not a valid... Okay, I'm being stupid today. Alias. Gotta practice my bash as well. Yeah, these things get forgotten when you don't practice. We'll get to the bottom of this. Trial and error. Okay, good. What was the file anyway? Function.c, that's not the one. It was pass value, c pass value. So it's still 10. Well, that was my initial thought when I was saying, let's try to analyze this once again. Okay, so why is I 10? I mean, initially, I thought, what did void do when called? It returned nothing. That's the thing. That I told you, if the function initially returns nothing, then it's kind of void, you know. So that's why I thought that it will not be changed. And then I listened to you, and then we got to the conclusion that it should after all be 11. So I mean, if we return something here like an integer, let's control reaches end of non-void function. That's not good, is it? You misunderstood me. A was altered, it was 10, now 11, but we did not change. Okay, let's try to listen to the book and see where I was wrong here. At first glance, it looks like I is 10 and we pass it to the function increment. There the value gets incremented, so when we print it, it must be 11, right? Get used to disappointment. But it's not 11, it prints 10. Why or how? It's all about the fact that the expression you pass to functions get copied onto their corresponding parameters. The parameter is a copy, not the original. So I is 10 out in main, and we pass it to increment function. The corresponding parameter is called a in that function. Torok Tibor, welcome in. You're probably supposed to pass the reference to I, so you're not incrementing a copy of I. Yeah. So I is 10 out in main, and we pass it to increment. The corresponding parameter is called a in that function, and the copy happens as if by assignment. Loosely, a equals I, so at that point a is 10, and out in the main I is also 10. Then we increment a to 11, but we are not touching I at all. It remains 10. Not sure how long until pointers happen, but understanding this bit helps. Yeah, every bit helps. Finally, the function is complete. All its local variables are discarded. Bye-bye a. And we return to main, where I is still 10. And we print it, getting 10, and we're done. This is why in the previous example with the +1 function, we returned the locally modified value so that we could see it again in main. Seems a little bit restrictive. Like you can only get one piece of data back from a function is what you're thinking. There is, however, another way to get data back. C folks call it passing by reference, and that's a story we'll tell another time. But no fancy schmancy name will distract you from the fact that everything you pass to a function is copied into its corresponding parameter, and the function operates on that local copy no matter what. Remember that even when we are talking about this so-called passing by reference. Okay, part 2 of today's lesson. Function prototypes. So if you recall back in the Ice Age a few sections ago, I mentioned that you had to define the function before you used it. Otherwise, the compiler wouldn't know about it ahead of time and would bomb out with an error. How many parts today? 3. I mean, it's all variable, right? But it says function. What was the KDE shortcut for zooming in? Yep. Can you see it here? Passing by value, function prototypes, empty parameter list. What was the shortcut for mouse zoom? I don't know. Shift? Shift plus what? Meta. Additionally, you can hold control while scrolling the mouse. Nah, that can't be. Which one is the default? Okay, let's check it out here. Zoom. Meta plus, meta minus, meta 0. It's not catching my mouse scroll. The problem with Meta Plus is that I don't have Meta key anywhere near the plus. Sorry, I'm just thinking about how can I use this more often, because with two hands on the keyboard I cannot control the mouse and I need the mouse. For now, it stays as is. Can't waste any more time on this. Okay, this isn't quite strictly true. You can notify the compiler in advance that you will be using a function of a certain type that has a certain parameter list. That way the function can be defined anywhere, even in a different file, as long as the function prototype has been declared before you called that function. Fortunately, the function prototype is really quite easy. It's merely a copy of the first line of the function definition with a semicolon tacked on the end for good measure. For example, this code calls a function that is defined later because the prototype has been declared first. Meta control it is. Thank you. Yeah, okay. That works well. That works quite well. And now we can forget it for the next lesson. Yes. Okay. I need my medicine. We have done this 2 or 3 times. Yeah, you can see how often I use the zoom function. Only when I need it. Okay. We are defining a function prototype. No squiggly braces here. We just call it and then it's here. Function foo. Int main void. We take no parameters here. We return the integer. Int I. We can call foo here before its definition because the prototype has already been declared above. Okay, so we call I equals foo the function. Okay, printf the decimal I. Well, I'm not worried about is something Wayland related or not Wayland. I mean, in this case, this is KDE related, not Wayland related. It may be something that KDE has implemented only in their Wayland session and not in their X11 session, but overall, this is a KDE function, not a Wayland function. That's what I'm saying. And also, X11 is two of the biggest desktop environments on Linux, as you know them, right? They have abandoned their X11 sessions, so it's just GNOME versus KDE now in in the ring of the battle of the big ones, not GNOME X11 and GNOME Wayland versus KDE X11 and KDE Wayland, just GNOME versus KDE. In terms of functionality, right? What you can do on your desktop. Okie dokie. Why does it say 3490 here? Okay, I see why. Int foo void, this is the definition, just like the prototype. Okay. The foo takes no parameters and simply returns 3490. and I is the same as this function, so I must be 3490, right? And well, we are printing it here. If you don't declare your function, they mentioned the Wayland session. Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. I'm just saying, for a little bit, Wayland sessions have been the default in major desktops, right? So it's no longer much of a question that cool new features are in Wayland sessions, so X11 sessions aren't really dead. They are more like, I don't know how to put it, on life support, if you will. It's not like I have any hand in this, or any decision, it is what it is. So whatever comes out as new functionality, everything is a part of Wayland sessions. Nothing is really getting added to any X11 session. Maybe in some smaller desktop environments and window managers, sure. But in the big boys, it's over. If you don't declare your function before you use it, either with a prototype or its definition, you are performing something called an implicit declaration. This was allowed in the first C standard, C189, and that standard has rules about it, but is no longer allowed today, and there is no legitimate reason to rely on it in new code. Okay, you might notice something about the sample code we have been using. That is, we have been using the good old printf function without defining it or declaring a prototype. How do we get away with this lawlessness? We don't actually. There is a prototype. It's in that header file stdio.h that we included with the include. So we are still a legit, officer. How about that? Okie dokie. Third lesson for today. Empty parameters list. You might see these from time to time in older code, but you shouldn't ever code one up in the new code. By the way, as I said previously, I am using GCC 15, which, or is it 1, is now following. Thanks for the follow. As I said, I'm using GCC 15, which defaults to C23 standard, and I have made that alias now with the rule pedantic. So we are now required to do a strict C23 syntax from now on. But that's for me, at least. Okay. Always use void to indicate that a function takes no parameters. There is never a reason to skip this in modern code. If you are good at just remembering to put void in for empty parameters list in functions and prototypes, you can skip the rest of this section. No backwards compatibility for you, pedantic person. Yes. Once again, if you are good at just remembering to put void in for empty parameters list in functions and prototypes, you can skip the rest of this section. But we are not skipping anything, are we? There are two contexts for this. Omitting all parameters where the function is defined. Hello, Rootlex. Just a quick summary here. For the past hour, we have been on the like a repetition of the lesson from the 2 weeks ago when it was bad weather and stuff like that. I concluded that that particular stream was shit, so we just did it again, and this time it turned out quite a lot better. We are nearing the end. Actually, we have been doing the passing by value. We have been doing function prototypes. Then we learned that we don't need to deal with the empty parameter list if we remember to put void in our functions if we are not taking any parameters. But we are going to do this part anyway, because it's the part of the book. Okie dokie. This part changed in C23, just like C++. Empty parameters list now means that function takes no parameters. Also, did I just kill it? I didn't. Never mind. Let's go ahead. Omitting all parameters where the function is defined, omitting all parameters in a prototype. Let's look at the potential function definition first. Void foo should really have a void in here. While the spec spells out that the behavior in this instance is as if you have indicated void, C11, the void type is there for a reason. Use it. But in the case of a function prototype, there is a significant difference between using void and not using it. Void foo or void foo void, not the same. Leaving void out of the prototype indicates to the compiler that there is no additional information about the parameters to the function. It effectively turns off all that type checking. with a prototype, definitely use void when you have an empty parameters list. Iceblade asked when. I need to give this a try. Void foo print f. Hello. Well, I guess we can do the new line thing. Hello here. Did I close it? I didn't. Okay, let's finish this. Okay, so that's what's supposed to be not good. Test. Did I kill it? No main function here. Is that the problem? Undefined reference to main. Yeah, correct. Can I just rename it to main? I don't see why not. Ah, it should be int. Okay. How do I actually do this? Can I just add it here or inside main? I'm not sure. Iceblade, yes. This is going to be trial and error. Oh, I didn't see that. So we got only hello. Did we get only hello because nothing out of main is really being executed? Main needs to call foo. Ah, okay. Only main function is executed. Yeah, all the rest needs to be called from within. That's what I thought. Okay, so how do I call the function? Can I just type foo here? I'm trying to remember where I have seen it being done in any other way, and right now I'm not sure. Sorry, compile it. You'll get another error. Okay. Implicit declaration of function foo. You may need to declare foo before main. Implicit declaration. Okay, let's heal that part first. Can I just... Can I just then void foo? Actually, let's just move it up. It doesn't make sense to be down there anyway. Ah, now it's good. Hello and hello foo. Okay, and I have no errors in the compiler right now, but what if I put void in here? So this is supposed to be like more correct or something. Although there is no difference. This error message is confusing. It basically means that where you call foo is not declared yet. Yeah, that's what Matthew DeVore said. Welcome in, by the way. Why Joe says need a function prototype? Okay. Main does not need to return 0 explicitly. Return 0 is implied in pure C. The reason why I was doing all this is because I wanted to understand why do I need to use void here, because the book is trying to teach me that. The book is trying to teach me here. Let's look at a potential function definition first. Void foo, you should really have a void in here. Rootlock says it's better to return explicitly anyway. Read next, it's explained there. Leaving void out of the prototype indicates to the compiler that there is no additional information about the parameters to the function. It effectively turns off all that type checking. With a prototype, definitely use void when you have an empty parameter list. Okay, let's do it with a prototype then. Okay, once again we are going to remove it here. and here. So this is like not good. It works. So they say definitely use void in the prototype when you have empty parameters list. But I can't figure out how to make it not work. What is the problem actually? Pre-C23 empty list means that you can pass any list of parameters there. Void means that function receives no parameters. Okay, so in this particular little case here, it doesn't really matter because the program is plain and stupid, right? Okay, don't remember the extra flags you added and their effect. Yeah, I'm compiling with W all, W extra, W pedantic with GCC 15. So it's kind of sticking to C23 standard. Leave empty list and call foo with whatever rubbish you can, like, okay. Then change the empty list to okay. Okay, call foo with one allow 0.5, he says. Too many arguments. Too many arguments to function foo. Expected 0. Have 3 of them. I'm compiling with C23, yeah. Compile with C11. GCC v extra v all. Was it like this? Oh, okay, it was, but with small caps. Okay, now it works. Okay, I see. I made this little alias for myself so that we are going to, I mean me, like stick to C23 and go with some of that modern flow, but I don't mind checking out the older versions as well. So with C23, it doesn't really matter whether I defined it as void or not void. It's not working. Too many arguments with void or without void. It's simply not good. I like it. It's being more strict about it because this whole thing here is rubbish anyway. So why would it even accept rubbish if it's useless? I mean, I'm just trying to justify why this is being dumped as an error when we are using C23. That's all. Because it's rubbish. And if you want to have clean code, I think it's good that the compiler is going to warn about it. It is, Rootlux says it is a trick which was used before C23, which allowed to pass arbitrary list of parameters to functions with leaving parameter list empty. In C23, empty list basically equals to putting void in there. It had its hack use case, but it's complicated. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, today's lesson turned out fine. It's only an hour and a half. We were very punctual today, started sharply at 7:00. The next one is about pointers, and I am not going to go into that. However, this is not a part of today's lesson. This is a part of something I have been trying to do as my homework. To be honest, I have only given it 1 hour so far. It took me like, I don't know. Rootlex, how much time did you give me? 6 weeks, was it? And I have worked on it for an hour. Read my messenger matrix. Let me see. Let me see your message. Let me just load Nano Chad move. Matt says on matrix. Okay. Not laughing, but you can use ternary operators inside printf2. Yes, this is a hint. Having said that, you need to get rid of excessive if statements first. I did hear you on that. I just didn't find a way initially how to do that. There is a pattern in what's being checked and what is being printed. And if you notice it, you can reduce for if branches like you have now to just 2. what is being checked and what is being printed. Interesting. I thought that I'm just going to have to use nested ternary operators. And the reason why I said my brain overcooked is because I don't believe that you meant it. I don't believe that you meant it for me to use nested ternary operators here. And that's why I stopped to rethink what else I can do. And I really didn't come up with anything. Rutlex says, in other words, which part of output is printed when? Okie dokie. So let me just give it a little bit of a drink here. You can use nested ternary operators, of course, but that's not what I was talking. Yeah, I know that's not what you were talking about, and I know that I can nest them. It's just that when I thought about nesting, it really didn't feel like that's what you meant, you know, so I just deleted it from my mind. Anyways, this was my little bit of a silly fizz buzz. Let's start with what is always printed no matter what. I'm just trying to explain to other people in the chat what is it all about. Okay, so my initial program was FizzBuzz. FizzBuzz is some kind of a kids game I never heard of before that says, where is it? Here, right? Okay, no, not that one. This one here. Loop is 1, while loop is less than 101. Do these if else checks. So if loop is divisive by 0 and also by 5, we call this fizzbuzz. Else, if loop is divisive by 3, we call this fizz. If it's only divisive by 5, we call it buzz. Anything else, we don't call it any name. We just print it, and that's all. And then we loop up to 100. So you can imagine what this does. It's basically just prints one number per row, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it prints just one and without any word next to it, 2 without any word next to it, number 3 with the word fizz next to it, and so on. So Rootlex has given, this works, right? It's very simple. Rootlex has given me homework to try to implement this with ternary operators. I haven't done it. I forgot what ternary was again. Ternary is when you have 3 operators. Let me give you an example. You have, how do I call it? You have a like a definition question mark, and then you have true being executed after the question mark, and then you have a colon, and then you have false being executed. So basically, if you put in the definition like 1 equals 1 for the sake of simplicity, then this will execute. If you put here 1 equals 2, then this one here will execute. Expression. Okay, yeah. Maybe I didn't explain it properly, but basically, I started developing the syntax here in order to make the full programming on my FizzBuzz program, right? So this is just a tiny little part here that does only the fizz part. Iceblade says it was basically the name of line constructed that way. It's what they called ternary operators in C language. This here works. Okay, so see what we are doing here. We are taking the loop number, and loop number is 1. Okay, we are starting with 1. If we can divide loop with 3, then we are printing true. If we cannot divide loop with 3, depending what the result of this is, if it's basically 0 is false, anything else is true. You don't think you have ever seen that one used for real? Well, I can't say I did either, except in the book. So I think it's a cool trick here. So loop, which is 1 divided by 3, is not 0, so it's true. Okay? It's true. So we are going to print the true part here. Okay, see, it's true. We're printing true. In the next loop will be 2. 2 divided by 3 is still not 0, so it means that it's true. Okay, so once again, we're only printing this decimal loop number, which is 2. Third pass. In the third pass, 3 divided by 3 is 0, which means that this expression here is false. And now we are printing, not printing, we are executing the right, how do you call it, operator. It's now false, and we are now printing a loop which is number 3, the percentage D, the decimal 3, and the word fizz, and then we go to the new line. Okay, and then we go to number 4, which is once again going to call the left side, and so on. Rutlag says ternary operators are like if statements, but unlike those, ternary operators are expressions. They have a value. Okay, so let's save this. Fizz-t compiled. Percentage D is digit, not decimal. Are you sure? I thought it's decimal. The int argument is, I hope I am reading the correct manual. The int argument is converted to signed decimal notation. The precision, if any, gives the minimum number of digits that must appear. If the converted value requires fewer digits, it is padded on the left with zeros. The default precision is 1. When 0 is printed with an explicit precision 0, the output is empty. Integer, decimal, I suppose it can be digit as well. Depends. I don't know. Look, I'm still learning. If it's more accurate to call it a digit, so be it. It seemed to me more. I don't know. Decimal seemed. Digit is, Rootlock says digit is a broader term. E.g., A is a hex digit, but percentage D doesn't apply here. I'm trying to make it easier for me to learn, because if I remember in my head that D is digit, I'm going to learn it wrong, and that's not going to be good for me. Matthew DeVore says, I would use one printf with 3 ternary expressions embedded. I'm not going to read the second part of your sentence out loud. You guys can read it, of course. I'm not going to read it because it seems as a spoiler. I don't mind spoilers. I'm just not going to read it. If Rootlex types that it's not a spoiler, then I'm going to read it. Anyways, this is the program for now. It's only doing the fizz thing where it applies. Rootlex says that it is a spoiler, so you can still remove that message from YouTube if you want. But I'm just not gonna read it. The only thing that I have read is that you said that you would put more ternary operators into one printf. But that alone is not a spoiler. The probably the rest of it is a spoiler. That alone is not a spoiler because Rootlex already told me that in Matrix chat. So that much I already knew. Rootlex says, so what message retracted? Oh, thanks for that. I appreciate it. Rootlex says, what is always printed? A number is always printed. Let's put this away. Printf. Okay, let's do just the number first and build upon that. I know it will work. I know it's stupid to compile this and test it, but as you can see, there is always some kind of a bug. So testing is good even when you're sure it's well made, but actually it's not. I forgot the new line, although the code is fine. Okie dokie. Now, we have printed the digit, the decimal. The loop is also a decimal. I'm trying to wrap my head around the syntax. Also, you can print a line in steps. You can print a line in steps. First print something, then something else, and only in the end print. Oh, thank you. I know that. I know that. I know that. Do I have to call it like D2, or can it be just another D? Also, let me just check my syntax here. I wasn't sure if I need another comma. Okay, okay. It works. Now, how do I shrink entire ternary operator in here? This is not going to be a final solution by any means, but allow me to try to build. Allow me to try to build it somehow. As I make it, you will see my thinking process, which will probably be bad, but that's not what I was talking about. You can call printf hello, then call printf space, and then call printf world. I know that as well. I know that as well, but I'm not sure what you are aiming at with that. You said just one printf, and what you're proposing now is 3 printfs. So right now I'm sticking to just 1. That's not going to be good. He's trying to make you do a dynamic print line, then add to it depending on result. That sounds like a spoiler as well. But he strictly told me to use just one printf initially, so okay, okay. Let's use a few and then merge them into one. It's all right. Okay. The first one, this is actually not a good order, I think, but maybe it is. When I was doing the if-then statements, if it was important to check the divisiveness by 3 and 5 first, because else was just 3 or just 5 or just nothing. But with the ternary operators, I think it's the order doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter, I think. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. When is fizz printed? Loop divides by 3. Also, fizz and buzz are strings, so you want a string here. Compiler would have told me that. I'm thinking how to omit the true part, because the right part is basically this. Printf fizz. Printf. Why do I need anything here, actually? I mean, the string here. I don't know. I'm not reading the chat intentionally because I want to make some mistake here in order to see what the compiler will give me as a hint, so then I can see how stupid I am and then fix it and become smarter. Okay, that makes sense. That's why I'm not looking at the chat is below the camera, right? So when I'm looking below the camera, that's when I'm reading the chat. Too few arguments to function. Printf expected at least one. Okay, let's fix that first. That's a lot of shit. You are already in printf, says Rootlex. In ternary operators, the whole operator is replaced with one of the true or false parts. Expected closed bracket before the semicolon. Why? Where? It can't be here. It's usually not. Ah, okay. Okay, we have to fix the new lines a little bit. Okay, the number doesn't need a new line, but this one does. Okay, and a space is needed, but overall the calculation is correct. We have the space over here. Okay, now we will need a buzz. I'm not entirely sure about it, but let's see what happens. Shit. Why do we have extra new line here? That's a good question. Actually, it seems to be correct, except for the weird new line. Why did it do the new line before buzz? Double new line. Because it has executed this new line here and another one here. I think this one is the problem here. You're cooking, yeah. This one is the problem for buzz, but we need it when it's fizz or when it's not. Let me just see how it looks. I will understand it better when I see it. Okay, now I killed it again. Okay. Let's understand what the problem is here. We need another line for fizz and the buzz in order to complete the program. But first, let's get this into visual order. So this line prints every time. And then we have a space. Okay, so we will remove these spaces here because they annoy me. Okay, we have only one space here. That's a little bit more neat. Then we are printing a string. If it's the sorry. If it's not divisive by 3, print nothing. It should go. It will not go into the new line. That's the problem. It will not go into the new line. Okay, so we do need. Yes, but if we put both of them. Let's put just one. This should be good. It should look good now. Almost. Buzz went to new line. Yeah, Buzz went to new line because this one was true. You need to print a new line after each line. Well, okay, let's do it. Let's do it in many prints. Actually, that's not necessary, even remotely. Yeah, now it's fine. Okay, now we need fizz buzz. How? We have percent %s. Take a look at the output once again. Oh shit. You tricked me. Thing is, I did not code this. You did. I didn't do that. It was just my fingers who typed the code, but my mind did not create this. It's cheating. Do you now understand why it prints? Yeah, I do, because the new line is after. It's very easy to understand. I just didn't see the broader picture when I was typing it. Basically, if you didn't intervene, I would now spend a good amount of time to creating another fizz buzz, and then I would have it double, and then I would see what I did, and basically I would undo. When it's both, it prints both, yeah. Are you interested? Matthew Devore says, are you interested in removing the trailing space on the lines? Are you interested in removing the trailing space on the lines is not needed? I mean, it depends on what you want to accomplish, I think. It's not really defined in the task whether or not spaces are needed. It's more up to you as the maker of the program how you wish to visually made it pretty or not pretty or whatever, right? It's really it's really fine. The task, the initial task was print numbers from 1 to 100, and next to them print if it's fizz buzz or fizz buzz. So they didn't define where you put spaces, you know. Now there is a space between fizz and buzz. I really don't think that matters. If Matthew says if neither fizz or buzz is printed, the space is not needed. Well, the space is not needed in your program, you know. You're the one who gets to decide. So your rootlex, you're saying that the task is to put one word, right? Well, in that case, we have to do with spaces. You're right, it depends on your goals. Yeah, I mean, the task is solved. It, it the visual presentation simply wasn't, you know, defined. You can print f space with a ternary operator as well, but that will make it uglier. I'm not gonna do that. How do I construct this? Right now, no more harder version is to make fizz buzz to fizz what? I don't understand what Iceblade wrote, but I also don't know how to compress this into one printf. I'm thinking, but right now I don't know how. I'm guessing I should at least start with this. Start with writing the format string. Okay. Whee! I think this is the first time I have done something from the first attempt. Lajka, pobijedili smo. Hoćeš doći tu? Lajka doesn't want to come. Okay, this was kind of fun. Iceblade, as I told you in the beginning of today's live stream, when we both got a little bit confused about um, int I equals 10, comma j semicolon, thinking that is that like an array or what, and then just redoing the same thing in two lines, like I equals 10, um, int I equals 10, semicolon, and then in the new line int j semicolon, which made it a lot more clear to the learning brain. So in the same way, this how do you say rationality in English? Um, Dividing the wished end result that I don't know how to assemble into smaller multiple prints that I just might know how to assemble. This really helped a lot. Make it simpler and then build from that. It definitely looks obvious now, but just as where is it? What was the other file? Pass value? Not that one. Function. This one. So this one confused me a lot 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks. No, 2 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks ago. This one confused me 2 weeks ago, and once I wrote it like this, it made a lot more sense. And after that, this now makes a lot more sense as well. And this is a lot easier example of what can trip people while they are learning, right? So in the same way, sorry about that. In the same way, this helped a lot to gradually develop the skill to get to this point here. Remember when you did loop inside print? Yeah, I did a lot of shit, and maybe I better not remember. Understand the basic bit first, then make it advanced, help you a lot more. Yeah. Well, today's lesson is worthy of not being deleted from YouTube. And yes, I didn't publish the first three yet. I will publish the first two, delete the third one, and put this one instead. So that's the plan. That's the plan. Anyways, guys, that was a lot of fun. If you have any questions to talk about, let me know. Let's talk a little bit more. If not, I want to continue watching this on TV. I am on the third season. I'm on the third season, 6th episode. So 3 more episodes. I will rewatch what I missed tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Time to scram.